West Virginia didn't even show up for the Backyard Brawl. That much was evident. But why? Why did things play out like they did tonight? I think that's the more important question. And is this team doomed for the rest of the year? This is Locked On West Virginia, and we're here to talk about it.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up? Welcome in, guys, to a disappointing episode of Locked On West Virginia, brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with 150 in bonus bets. That's if you win your first $5 bet. Thank you for coming on this episode of Locked On West Virginia, for being part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team every day. At the end of the day, man, this is just one game. So I'm not really that – I could care less over one game. This is a brand new team, 12 new guys, and this year one, So I'll take the entire history of West Virginia versus Pitt in basketball over just this one game. And that's just the way it is for me. They get this year. That's for sure. They got us this year. But, I'm not going to be all wrapped up over the first game against a Power 5 team on the road with a brand new team that's only played 2 games together, literally, where you're relying on 2 freshmen to come in and give you a lot of minutes. So I think this team will get better as the year goes on. Pitt's got a good basketball team this year. I really didn't see that as much in their first 3 games. They played their mind. They went out of their minds tonight. They're not as good as they looked, but they're not bad. They're probably a tournament team. But I'm just saying they overshot tonight. It was insane. I mean, just look at the numbers. They shot 50% from the floor today. It's just not normal. You know what I mean? And especially in the first half, where they shot 70% from 3. Like, it's just not normal. 20-27 from the free throw line. And West Virginia got 2 bad calls to start the game. The foul on the end one was Sincere Harris. I don't even know what happened there. And then also the elbow. I felt like that wasn't really it wasn't a flagrant one. And at the end of the day, man, it's just those 2 calls got us off to a pretty rough start. The momentum was not in our favor, and this team didn't adjust to being on the road at all very well. And look, West Virginia shot 38% from the floor. They shot 20% from 3, and they got 15 free throws, which they made 8 of, which is 53%. This is literally one of the worst shooting stat lines you're ever going to see, and it's just not going to happen every game. It's not going to happen every game. You're talking about last year, the same year that Bob Huggins got fired and our entire team transferred. Like that doesn't even count, man. Like, if I was the opposite team, I would not count that, honestly. Like, it was the one of the worst years in our basketball team's history. We had the entire team transfer a month before the season started. So, like, everybody beat us. Like, that wasn't the team that was supposed to be on the floor there. So, but this is a young team, man. So I think they're going to get better as the year goes. I really do. You've got, especially with, look at how some of our best players play tonight. I just promise you, it looks bleak tonight. It does. It looks really bleak tonight. Javon Small played terribly in the first half. He played a little better in the second half. Tucker DeVries is going to have 6 points every game. Amani Hansberry's not going to have 2 points every game. Eduardo Andre's probably not going to have 9 points every game. Jonathan Powell was your leading scorer with 16 points. He's a freshman, a true freshman. And definitely one of your most talented players. You know who your third leading scorer was? A freshman, KJ Tenner. So I just think, going into this game, here's what I thought. Here's what I said. Here's what I said going into last night. You've got 3 guys that have played over 100 games. And I honestly thought, because of that this team would play a little bit more composed on the road for their first game. but they didn't. And so that's just the way it is. Like, if you're in here to do nothing but troll, you can just leave, though, bro, or I'll just put you out. Either way, if you want to join the conversation, you can do that. I agree. I definitely agree. It's going to be an overreaction because it's a Pitt loss. I do agree with that. So you definitely probably would have rather got them. Similar to the Penn State game, you don't want to play these games that early in the season, but I mean, you just look at a couple games. Like, we've got Gonzaga coming up in 3-4 games. But to those of you saying back to baseball season, like, you're just fair weather as hell. How can you be so fair weather? Like, on one loss, insane. Teams have bad games all the time. 20 points, a 20-point loss in college basketball isn't the end of the world, or it's bigger than 20. 24 points. So it's not listen, they lost. Is that 20? Let's see, 72, 82. Yeah, 24 points. So this team shot, I just think it's better than people. Maybe I'm crazy here, but if you look at the stat line, West Virginia was 24-62. Pitt's defense had something to do with that. I mean, they played good defense tonight, but I promise you this team's not going to do that every game. Sometimes you have a really, really bad shooting nights. Now, not normally this bad. 38% from the floor in general is not normal. So I think looking at that, man, like, if this team had just an average shooting night, this is a close game. They just didn't. I don't know what to say. Like, they didn't look ready for this game. I don't think it's a coaching issue. I don't think it's they just didn't handle the road environment well. And this is a team that's played on their home floor in every game so far. This is ban user and delete their comments. Okay. Talk is Pitt is gone, man. I can't deal with somebody like that. All right. Well, I'm glad you're not freaked out, Golf, because at the end of the day, like, this is just one of those things, man, where it's going to happen. With a brand new team, 12 players, you're going to have games like this. I know everybody doesn't want to hear that, and I wish I had something more eloquent to say about it, but I don't. I don't. I don't know what happened to Tucker tonight, man. He doesn't look like himself. He really didn't. He was bothered from the get-go. Pitt did some things early that really got them in a rhythm on the screens. West Virginia ended up having to they were switching screens, or they were having sincere travel with whoever the ball was, and they were really picking pops off of that because they have basically everybody on the floor can shoot it. And so Sincere was working so hard to get over a lot of those screens in the first half that they were getting a lot of open pick and pops, and they just didn't miss many, and that first half lead, the momentum from that, I feel like played a huge part. And then West Virginia really calmed down on defense in the second half, but offensively just couldn't get it going. And I think, length is definitely a little bit of an issue. So, looking at the rebounds, Pitt won the rebounding margin by 12. They had 9. We had 7 offensive rebounds. They had 10 more defensive rebounds. They had 3 blocks to our 5. Like, we didn't turn them over at all, which is, if you'd have told me that coming into the game, I probably wouldn't have believed that either, to be honest. But we didn't. So it's unfortunate, man. I really thought we would play better tonight. I didn't know we would win, but I thought this team would play better. But don't be disheartened because, like I said on X, I bookmarked a few things that people put out there. And I just think that for anybody that thinks that this team is done after one game, in my opinion, you're silly. So if you think off of one game this team's done and over with, then there's no reason to watch this show anymore. Like, there's no reason to come back and watch anymore because they're done, right? So I think stick with the team, keep supporting them. This is not 6 years into a Neil Brown era. Like, I'm just a little disgusted at some of the comments like that people are making about this team. Like, if nobody else will defend them, I will. And if it runs people off, then it does. But I want people that are at least level-headed in these situations. Everybody has the right to be mad, and I'm mad. And I don't care saying Tucker sucked tonight. He did. He did suck tonight. He's not going to suck every night. And I think that's the important distinction to make. If he does, we'll call it out. You know, we'll be honest about it. But I don't think one loss into the season, there's just not any reason to panic yet. And I say yet because, I mean, a good acronym for yet is you're eligible too, right? So, yeah, absolutely. At some point, there could be a time when panic mode sets in. But this team's going to have – let's look at the West Virginia schedule. Let's just look at – before we break and then talk about Baylor here, let's look at the West Virginia schedule. You've got Iona, then you've got Gonzaga. That's going to be you're going to have to drop a pair, right? You're going to have to drop a pair for that game. And I just have a feeling West Virginia is going to look better in that game. I don't know. We'll see. But what if West Virginia somehow plays better or looks better in that game? Will you feel better about them then? They're going to have one game to get right against Iona. Then there's Gonzaga. Then you got Georgetown, who the Hoyas have always got a pretty good basketball program. This year they are 2-0. So they've beaten Fairfield and Lehigh, and they play Notre Dame tomorrow. So we'll have an idea of what they are by the time, gosh, they've got – this is crazy. We've got 2 games until we play Georgetown. Georgetown has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games before they play us. That's crazy. They play Notre Dame, Mount St. Mary, St. Francis, Wagner, Albany, UMBC. Then they play us on December 6th. Why do we have only two games or whatever it is? Let me look at that again. That threw me off really quick. Yeah, we've got Iona, we've got Gonzaga, and then we've just got Georgetown. They've got 6 games in between. That's crazy. But so we'll know who these teams are by the time we play them for sure. And then West Virginia gets a little bit of a break with NC Central, BCU, Mercyhurst. So let's just let it play out. Let's not all freak out yet. I understand the reason why you want to, because it's Pitt and they've got bragging rights for another year. I get it. Darren DeVries will turn this around to where they won't have bragging rights anymore. I believe that. It's not going to be this year, but in my heart of hearts, I've never believed in a coach as much as him. I can't tell you why. But I just have a feeling that he's really going to get us on look at the recruits we brought in, 3 4-star players. I just think we're going to be good with him. Now, just don't give up yet. I've gone too long. I got to go to break. We're going to talk about Baylor next. Tomorrow's a big day for West Virginia football. Let's get hyped up for that, guys, and we'll talk about it next. This is Locked On West Virginia. This is an episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. This year, skip the holiday hustle and bustle and save 50% off gourmet gifts site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Get a $30 reward card when you shop early and score an extra $30 off with the promo code COLLEGE. 5 generations of experience that consistently deliver the world's best steak experience. And the gifting experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to deliver the perfect gift with thoughtfully curated gift packages starting at $8.99. Pretty good. From legendary steaks to mouth-watering desserts and more, save 50% off at sitewide.com, at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE and a $30 reward card when you shop early. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. Minimum purchases do apply. All right, guys, we are back on Locked On West Virginia. Sorry about this game, y'all. I know everybody's not happy. I'm not happy. Certainly, I think this is one they're going to want to put behind them, but it's 86-62. But look, I just think we're going to get better. Let's just give them time to get better. This is the first major test they've ever had, ever. And they didn't play well, but I think they'll get better. So especially once they figure out a lineup that works for us. Toby O'Connor can't play like he did tonight. I think that's another one I meant to mention because Powell's coming for those minutes. That's just the way it is. So we need some offense from another wing player because they can just key on Tucker, and that's it. All right, guys, let's talk Baylor. Baylor's on the horizon, and I'm excited about the game. I didn't think I would be excited about West Virginia football again this year, but I am. And I just think this is such a big game because it's bowl eligibility, and I know that's not what we came into the year hoping for. And you guys know I wanted to fire Neil Brown. I did multiple shows on it. But if you're telling me that we can get to 9 wins, that's got to change some people's minds. I've been thinking about it, and if he wins 9 games, or what if he wins 9 and then 8, back to back? I don't know. I just think it's hard to. How do you fire a guy after that? I just think. I guess part of me is at a place where I've already been told that he's not getting fired, and so I've already begun to accept it because there's nothing I can do about it. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. And I want you to really listen to me when I say this. I'm a single dude. I live by myself. I have a great social life, but for the most part, my only hobby is West Virginia sports. And I refuse to be one of those fans that is miserable about it all the time. Like if they announce Neil comes back for sure, I'll figure out a way to accept it. I'll make those same complaints again next year when they happen, if he comes back. I can always have the opinion I think we're better off without him, but also still support the team at the same time. That's kind of what I'm trying to say here. Like, if you gave me the choice today, I would say fire Neil Brown. I'll make sure everybody hears that. But at the same time, if he wins 8 or 9 games, I don't know how they will or how they can. So I guess I'm just stuck in it's a weird, like the guy on Locked On, the squad show we did the other day kind of called it a purgatory, where we're kind of caught in between. But what if he keeps winning now? Like, we're going to win 8, 9 games again. And then how do you justify firing a guy that's won 8 or 9 games 2 years in a row? That's kind of how it feels. And here's the other part. The ultimate ha-ha for Neil Brown would be we need Kansas State and Colorado to lose one more game, right? And then we need to win the next 3, which are extremely winnable for us. What if we went to the Big 12 championship game? I'm not saying won it. I'm not saying win it. But what if we made it somehow? Well, it all starts with Baylor tomorrow. A team that, listen, guys, I'll even say last week against Cincinnati was, in a lot of ways, we were lucky to win that game. We didn't play well. We probably don't win that game we probably lose that game 3 out of every 5 times we play it, especially if we play like we did on offense, right? Baylor will put us in the dirt tomorrow if we're not on our absolute A game. I believe that. Look what they've done the last 3 games, guys. They've scored 59 against Texas Tech. They scored 38 against Oklahoma State. They scored 37 against TCU. They scored 30 against BYU in a loss. They didn't play well against Iowa State. They didn't play well against Utah either, which is kind of odd. So their first, it's weird because it's a tale of 2 halves for them in the year. Like they lost 3 in a row. Or no, not 3 in a row, but I think they lost 3. No, they did lose 3 in a row. They lost to Colorado. They lost to BYU and Iowa State. then they went on a bye week, and now they've scored 59, 38, 37. And they've beaten Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, and TCU, who aren't great teams, but Texas Tech is good. Like they're pretty good. Like they're good. They're not great, right? And I think I consider this a quality win tomorrow if we win the game. It's not a ranked win, but I consider it's a good win. They've won 3 in a row, So I think the way they're humming on offense, we'll see. I think it's one of those things where I feel pretty good about our chances tomorrow because Baylor's really been relying on the run game here the last 3 games. They've got a redshirt freshman in Washington who's really come on. And I think we've got a shot to stop the run tomorrow. We've been good at it all year. TJ Jackson, Sean Martin, and the boys, man, they've been playing well up front. But Sawyer Robinson is a problem at quarterback. He's got a couple 40-yard rushing touchdowns this year, according to Cam Stewart from Locked On Baylor, which we did a preview show the other day. So we've struggled with quarterbacks that are mobile so far this year. It'll be interesting to see what happens in this game because I think it's going to tell us a lot about just who this West Virginia team really is because the teams we've lost to were obviously very good to elite teams, and the teams we've beaten have all been mediocre to bad, possibly average teams. I would consider Cincinnati to be average, right? Maybe good. Like Cincinnati could win the next 2 or 3 games. They have the potential to beat anybody pretty much any given week, I think. You can't say that about everybody. But I think, I think we're going to beat UCF for sure. Texas Tech is the only game that I'm really worried about left after Baylor. So that's only 2 games, but I think we've got a shot, man. How crazy would that be if we somehow, some way made it back into the Big 12 championship game? It would be wild. So I think let's just hope it happens. I know there's a lot of people that want Neil gone, but it could also happen this way, and momentum is momentum. We've got a big 4-star player coming in, by the way, in case you guys don't know from, let me go look. He's a corner. Somebody might have to, I can't remember his name, but it just posted earlier. We got a big 4-star corner coming in on a visit this coming week. And so that's going to be good as well. It's on my X page. I have to go look. Let me go look really quick. It's going to bother me unless I tell you guys who it is. All right. Let's go. Let's see here. All right. So we have Dwayne Galloway. That's right. Dwayne Galloway. And if you don't know who that is, I'll just Google it for us. Although you already know, but I want to be able to read it verbatim to you guys. It's DAWAYNE GALLOWAY. Okay. So on 247, let's go there. He's from Marion, Franklin. He ran a 10.4-100. He's a 91 composite rated guy, 4 stars he's from Columbus, Ohio. Certainly he has wanted I read an article earlier where he wanted that Ohio State offer, but hasn't quite gotten that one for whatever reason. But he's got Kentucky, Syracuse, Arizona State, West Virginia, Purdue, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Michigan. Just everybody. Everybody pretty much wants him. Arkansas, Auburn, Liberty, Marshall, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Pitt, Texas A&M. He's got them all. So this would be a big one for us. So that's somebody just said I still have an X page just so 2003. That's funny. Formerly known as Twitter. All right, guys. On the other end of the break, we'll put a bow on this episode. Thanks for sticking around with me. It's Locked On West Virginia. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by FanDuel, guys. Get ready to tackle NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets. That's if you win. FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, do the live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page you place your bets. That's at FanDuel.com. Do it. Go ahead and join today. Remember, you'll get $150 in bonus bets, but you got to win that first $5 bet at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the National Football League. We are back, guys. So to recap, obviously, it's been a tough night. West Virginia basketball got thumped by Pitt. I banned a Pitt person in the comments because I couldn't concentrate. He kept talking. Every time he would say something, I would look at it and have to read it. It's just one of those things, like because when you probably you don't see my screen, but the comments scroll by as I'm talking. And so when it comes to them gloating Pitt fans, I just couldn't help but see it. So we'll see. Garrett Green probably going to start tomorrow. Look for that. And look, I would love to see a Baylor performance out like last year out of him. That would be pretty cool. Hopefully it happens. Other than that, guys, it's been a rough night on the basketball side. Like I said, I think, Tucker and those guys will be the first to step up and say, hey, we played poorly tonight. But don't give up on this basketball team yet, guys. We got to see more out of them, right? Mama said there'll be days like this, but there don't have to be months like this. There don't have to be weeks like this. Let's just put it behind us. Keep supporting that basketball team. Football team plays tomorrow. We can still salvage the weekend, guys. If Mike Tyson somehow knocks out Jake Paul here in a few minutes, which that's about to happen if you got Netflix, it's on for free. Well, if you paid for Netflix. If somehow Jake Paul somehow knocks out Tyson, or Tyson knocks out Jake Paul, it'll be a great night, even though it's probably rigged. But if it's not by some small shot, that could definitely salvage the weekend, guys. Thank you for joining this episode of Locked On West Virginia. I'm Mountaineer Paul. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.